Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. That theme music means it's time for our weekly confab with Ted Dabrowski, president of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. And speaking of moving out, new census data in, and 75% of Illinois communities lost population in 2023. From July of 2022 to July of 2023, 3/4 of Illinois villages and cities lost population, the biggest loser being the city of Chicago.
Now, you know what that
in
makes?
aggregate numbers.
Yes, excuse me for interrupting. That makes Governor Pritzker a population denier.
Yes.
Because he thinks,
He is a
like, no, I don't,
population denier.
we're gaining residents. We're gaining businesses. There's nothing wrong here, even though we lost a congressional seat. But all right. I wonder how he'll react to that. 75%, wow.
Again, he knows he's lying. He just doesn't care because he can get away with it. Because, I don't know.
The press lets him get away with it.
Well, I mean,
not
certainly, but the residents, they're too busy to pay much attention or too indifferent to care, or they're liars too. I don't know, or some combination of those choices. Ted, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy. Yeah,
same
I think the other
same old story.
is,
15 years running, right, Ted?
Yeah, same old story. The news will probably be, hey, the outflow is a lot slower than it has been. It's only 8,000 people we lost in the last year, so that's not a big deal. But it's on top of 30,000 the year before and the 30,000 the year before. And I think what really stands out is that when you take Chicago, for example, only two cities lost more people, and that was Philadelphia and New York City. So there's something in that statistic that tells you something's not right. And when you combine that with the previous years, and then of course with the policy things we talk about all the time, the trend is bad, and it keeps adding up.
With apologies to Ben Folds 5, J.B. Pritzker's a brick, and we're drowning slowly. So that's good news. The pace of our demise is slowing temporarily. Not that you can put too much emphasis on these year-over-year numbers, but certainly after 15 years of consistent population loss, you start to pick up a certain pattern, right?
Well, yeah, and I think Amy kind of hit it. One quick way to measure relative population change. We could debate a lot of things, but if you look at representation in Congress, right, we used to have either 26 or 27 down to 17. So that could be the good news, that if Illinois is going to keep perpetuating these horrible policies, at least the state has weaker power to push that at the national level. But of course, that's not what we want, right? We'd want a vibrant, successful Illinois that's growing in influence, but only because it promotes the good free market and constitutional principles, not because of what it does now.
Gary Rabine posted on Facebook. He had a big office building, and I think it's Schaumburg. The price to build our office building today is $40 million, just sold for $1.7. Less than 5% of its building costs. Over 80% less than most markets in the world. In no other state in America has any group of corrupt politicians ruined property values like this. $40 million to build, sold for $1.7 in bustling Schaumburg. Should be a corporate center, right? Corporate HQ center along the Kennedy there. Well, no, I mean obviously out the western burbs off the 355. But the point is that this is one of the suburban hubs of business, just like the I-88 corridor out in the western suburbs. These corridors where we're going to have corporate campuses, and they're magnets, and businesses are coming, as Amy just said. Pritzker businesses are coming, and we're locating them, and I don't know. This is just one office building in Schaumburg, but it is yet another cautionary tale.
Yeah, and they just came out with new numbers for downtown vacancy rates in Chicago, and we just hit a record vacancy rate. It's jumped to 25%. So that's a new record high. And the numbers before COVID were at 13%. So you've effectively doubled your vacancy rate. And I think things are, you're seeing that in real estate prices, and it's going to keep showing up eventually in property taxes, because these big buildings are not going to pay the same amount of property taxes as they did before, because they're going to be close to half empty, many of them. And of course, the budgets for cities are not going to be cut. So guess what? They're going to pass along that tax levy to guess who? Homeowners. And so that's the next big thing to happen, I think.
Well, they say CTA ridership is now at what it used to be pre-COVID levels. That only took 4 years, but that could just be more beautiful lies.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, certainly the one that matters more is the Metro, and that's still down, and that's the one where you have people coming into work and people coming in to spend, and that's still way down, and that's part of that whole increase in vacancy rates. People aren't coming in, and that's, again, we're going to pay the price for that.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because
give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that, give me that. Give me my slippers, call me mimosa. My limousine and my chauffeur. So don't know VS, no esposa. Give me that.
Because BLM Brandon has a Gimme Dat enterprise solution for that office space issue you were addressing, and that's, of course, to convert these semi-vacant or vacant office spaces in places like the financial district into government housing. And he's moving authorization for the bonding authority to do just that. So there you go. There you've identified a problem, but BLM Brandon is ahead of you because he's already working on the solution.
Yeah, he's on top of it, and that was interesting. I think we touched on it last week, but I'd say that he probably said it's twice his biggest accomplishment since he's been in office is to borrow $1.25 billion.
It is a great accomplishment.
Borrowing is, it's a big one, and of course he wants to use that to build and spend on homelessness and creating housing, affordable housing. And I can't, I'm not a real estate expert by any means, but I just can't think of putting in affordable housing in what was a great financial district and thinking that's going to turn out well. I don't feel it.
Well, Steve Malanga over at the City Journal wrote about this essentially. He notes that a recent GAO, Government Accountability Office report, examined the performance of the Federal Housing Trust Fund, which subsidizes affordable housing plans. It's the same thing that BLM Brandon plans to do at the state and local level. Since 2015, the fund received some $3 billion for housing projects. As of March of 22, because you know how well the government does, how timely is their reporting, $3 billion in 2015. 7 years later, developers had finished just under 2,200 units nationally. The program only turns out about 400 or so units quarterly. Construction costs average as much as $360,000 per unit in California, $340 in New York, $314 in Massachusetts. In point of fact, the GAO report understates the problem where it's most acute. Some affordable housing projects, quote unquote affordable housing, like you hear about bandied about all the time here, including with some suburban plague of women voters types. The projects scale as much as high as $1 million per unit in California. That's what they call affordable housing. It's affordable because we collectively are going to spend this much to house this many people, but the economics aren't great. And so the pace of this public-private partnership with developers and government financiers goes at a snail's pace.
Yeah, my colleague Mark Glennon wrote something about that and some of these affordable housing units, and how I can't recall the precise numbers, but they were in the $600,000 per unit. And so again, it's just another bastardized approach to this. And instead of having affordable housing and proper zoning, allowing housing to be built, we've got the bureaucrats deciding what's going to happen, and that's of course the worst news. I think you were talking about this earlier in your show today, Dan, about get out of the way, let government get out of the way. It's interesting. I want to point out this thing that the Illinois Municipal League has pointed out all these. I think it's like 155 laws that are introduced or considered. They're all state mandates telling local governments what to do, and all of them are unfunded. And so this kind of ties into this one of the big things we're going to have to fix one day when we when we fix Illinois is unwind all these state powers and mandates that really destroy cities' ability to thrive on their own, even if they wanted to. The whole concept of local control is absolutely gone.
Well, that's right.
It's so crazy. But it's so crazy, Dan. Listen to this. They want to introduce a new property tax commission to talk about lowering property taxes again, even though the one from 3 or 4 years ago totally failed.
But they learn all the wrong lessons. So the story is not relax the mandates, roll back the mandates, like you're saying. The story is give us more money. I mean, so it's just the plantation politics, and the feudal lords at the local level are just asking for more tribute from the feudal king, basically. But that just perpetuates the problem. It doesn't address it, and these mayors don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a perfect example. Pritzker, and all the stupid politics that went on with that, with lowering the grocery tax, right? So there's no way to actually lower the cost for people, because the cities are turning around saying, well, we want to raise our own taxes so we can make up the difference. And so it's like you said, it's the whole thing is bastardized.
I wanted to ask you about the latest article about the school report cards, and you pointed out Mather High School, and tell us the graduation rate compared to what the reading rate is and the math proficiency rate. Yeah,
I mean, this is I think for us a big deal, because I know some people would love for us to stop talking about schools, but we put out our new version of report cards. What we did is we do a report card for every school and for every district in Illinois, and we have it up on our website. And basically, it's around the Kids Can't Read campaign. But what we do there is lay out what the reading results are and stuff like that, and it's crazy. So Mather's on the west side there, or the northwest side, and it's the school that kids are sent to if they can't get into some of the better schools. That's where they end up. So it's got 1,600 enrollments, but only 15% of the kids there can read at grade level, and only 14% can do math, and yet they graduate 83%.
Of course.
Yeah,
it's like, with these numbers, it's not unbelievable. It would be unbelievable if there's any difference. These are the same. It's like talking about the Exodus. I can't believe this is we're still singing Exodus. Oh, you were 15 years and you're still surprised? When have we talked about CPS and said 80% reading or doing math at grade level? Never. We've talked a lot. We've talked We've talked year after year about 6%, 10%, 15%, 20%. I can't believe what's going on at CPS. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's the same old thing. I think what's interesting though is that you're starting to see, and I think thanks to some of the work we've done and you for covering this, both of you guys for covering this, is that you're starting to see the numbers pop out more and more in the Sun Times. There's a poll there about that. So
yeah, too bad nobody reads the Sun Times can read them.
Yeah, that's true. But I think we have to see whether the pressure keeps going. Now, you did say we never talk about high performance. Actually, we have one time, right, and that's the Northside College Prep.
Well,
where,
I'm talking system-wide.
Kids can read. Right? No. But I was going to say, but that's the one that they want to close down, right? That's the craziness of it.
Well, right, because there's just equality and misery. I mean, that's the prescription. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but it screws up their whole narrative of racism and white supremacy and all that. Here you got blacks and Hispanic kids competing right there with the whites and the Asians. I mean, it's high performance, and that screws up Brandon Johnson's narrative and Stacey Davis Gates' narrative that whites are whatever.
Of course it does. Of course it does. It also because that's the same reason they had to kill the scholarship program, because if kids can get out and go to Chicago Hope Academy, then you're going to see you're going to see a 180 from these kids that may be languishing in one of these government warehouses that they pretend is a school, and they're going to turn it around at Chicago Hope or some of these other schools that actually get the job of education done. So of course, that's the whole thing. And I can't believe, but nobody knows. Everybody's surprised every time there's a report. It's like the Swallows returning to Capistrano. Once a year we do these reports, and everybody gives the performative surprise, and that's too bad. And then we move on and we wait to do the same thing again the following year.
Exactly. I think probably what the with the most, it's not amazing at all. It's how do I describe it? One of the biggest failures, if you want to call it that, of Pritzker's, he never cares about this, right? He will never ever talk about the failure of these schools. The only thing he'll say is how good graduation rates are and how things have improved, both of which are imaginary numbers. He deserves to really get a hit for his failure to actually address this in any way.
Ted Dabrowski, President of Wirepoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Thanks, Ted.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Parents, grandparents, you might want to be sitting down because this is amazing news. Imagine the student in your family not asking you for money to pay for college, or better yet, not getting into years and years of debt. How's this possible? Scholarships.com, a trusted and widely used scholarship platform that helps your student find scholarships and navigate the financial aid process. Get help to pay for college through a personalized list of scholarships that your student actually qualifies for. Better yet, every scholarship is vetted to ensure accuracy. And now the best part, drum roll please, it's absolutely free. Go to scholarships.com today. Both students and parents can join for free, and within minutes, receive your list of personalized scholarship